Okay guys, got a short Halloween video for you here. We're going to look at the Berni Wrightson Color the Creature book from 1974. Now that you've seen the cover well, turn this other light on here, which puts glare on the glossy cover, but helps illuminate the interior pages just fine. And like I said, 1974. Now this thing is huge. It's 16.5 inches tall and 11 inches wide. So it's a lot bigger than a treasury. And you see them occasionally. I mean, it's not rare, but they are fairly scarce. I don't think a lot of them were printed. And this was distributed by Phil Suling. And he was a guy big into distribution back in the 70s. When I first started collecting comics in 1975, I ordered, a few things from him, and this is one of them. And strangely, it has the $4 price in pencil up here. Either Phil Suling himself wrote that, or somebody that works for him. And I don't really know why, because it tells the price on the back cover. But anyway, this is Classic Wrightson. And it says text is copyright 1974 by Phil Suling. Entire contents copyright Berni Wrightson. And each one of these illustrations, huge illustrations, is accompanied by a poem, evidently written by Phil Suling. And I'm not going to bore everyone by reading those out loud. You can just pause the video. I mean, this should show up pretty well. And you can read it for yourself if you want to do that. Make sure we're not skipping anything. Okay, this is the vampire. Like I said, I mean, words fail me when it comes to this stuff. I'll just say Classic Wrightson and leave it at that. But look at the detail on the fabric of his cloak. And just detail in general is just kind of mind-numbing, really. Anyway, that's the vampire. The glob. Some poor old guy trying to get away there. And, just pause the video if you want to read the poems. The ghoul. I don't think anybody drew graveyards and undead as well as Wrightson. I mean, even Graham Ingalls, as great, and I do mean great as he was, I think Wrightson surpasses everyone when it comes to undead and graveyards. Just my opinion. I'm sure other people have different opinions. The Mummy. Kind of an unusual look at the face. You don't often see that when somebody is drawing a mummy. But Wrightson, he came at things from a different angle. And the detail is there. I mean, and the hatching techniques that he used for shading, it's just amazing. The werewolf. He was also excellent with werewolves. I mean, beyond excellent. If you got Weird Mystery Tales by DC number 21, I think it is, with the werewolves and the hunter with the axe in the snow, that is just gorgeous. And this reminds me of that a lot. And the Alien. That reminds me a bit of, I mean, it's not exactly like it by any means, but just the concept of it reminds me of the alien that Swamp Thing encountered in issue number 9. That was the first Wrightson Swamp Thing I ever owned. I bought it at a used bookstore when I was going around trying to get everything Wrightson. I didn't have much money. At that point, I had never been to a comic book convention. Okay, here's the Cyclops. I'm trying to keep my voice down because I'm right up here by the microphone on my camera. And I've learned that it distorts things if I speak too loudly. Anyway, another great one. Reminds me a lot of some of Ray Harryhausen's stuff from classic flicks, you know, like Jason and the Argonauts and Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. Frankenstein Monster. That was a favorite of Wrightson. He did that awesome graphic novel for Marvel in the 80s, which was, there are some that say that was the height of his art, and I can't dispute that because he put so much work into that one thing. But I think overall, at least the favorite part of his work for me is stuff from the 70s. The early stuff in the late 60s up to the mid 70s, I think, you know, at least for me, that's the favorite stuff. That's the sweet spot for Wrightson. Plant Monster. Beautiful. Zombie. Yeah, he had a way with the undead, that's for sure. Goblins. Now, I believe this is 32 pages. This is probably my favorite one of any of them, The Creeping Dead. Just love that, man. I just love that. I mean, it's just ambiguous enough to be really mysterious, but the detail is just incredible. The Creeping Dead. Axe Murderer. Yep, that's another great one. The Witch. Very EC-esque there. Yeah, just pause the video if you want to read those little poems. Swamp Creature. Of course, he excelled with this type of monster because, you know, he's famous for Swamp Thing. He drew the first Swamp Thing appearance in comics. But this particular version of this type creature actually reminds me of a cross between Man-Thing and Swamp Thing. I guess that's maybe what he was going for. I mean, it doesn't have the big tendrils hanging down that the Man-Thing had, but it's hunched over like that, and the face shape of the head looks a lot like Man-Thing. But the face of it looks like Swamp Thing with that hollow recess there below the eyes. And I believe that's it. And there are suggestions for the Demented Colorist. And you can use anything, watercolors, crayons, markers to color this. And here is the cover again, reproduced in black and white, so you can color your own if that's your thing. See how yours matches up to the published cover. And there's that little cool illo with the skull and the axe. And it says distributed by Phil Suling. And it gives the address in Brooklyn, New York, price $4. And here's a little bonus. This is one of them colored. This is the Axe Murderer. The guy didn't have the Creeping Dead. I got this done at a convention, probably late 70s, I think, maybe in Chattanooga. Anyway, it was a real small con, and there was a guy that had a table there, and he had some copies of the illustrations from that Color of the Creature book, and he would color your choice for $8. And I thought, what the heck, and I got him to do one for me. If he'd have had Creeping Dead, I would have chosen that one, but I got this Axe Murderer, and he did a pretty good job. Used markers for it. It took him like over 30 minutes, so I know he didn't make a whole lot of money that day because he didn't have time. It was just him, but I thought it was cool, and I'm glad I got it because I've enjoyed looking at that thing on the wall for years. And that will do it for this one. Have a happy Halloween, and keep on monstering.